Welcome to another episode of Seeking Focus, episode 11.
Hey. Why does it cost so much? I'm only getting married.
Welcome to Seeking Focus, a podcast that provides photographers and videographers with a place to critically compare technology, share ideas, and enhance their skills.
All right, thanks for tuning again for this week's episode and continuation of our discussion with Marcel. And it's been a great week. And what have you been up to, Devon?
Not much, buddy, not much. I have recently purchased an RC car, a Savage XL by HPI, and I'm having great fun with that.
What does that mean? What does that mean? So what? Tell me, what is it? Just a small, tiny little Matchbox car, or are we talking about monster truck?
Monster trucks. Yeah, it's a 1/8 scale, which means it's actually quite large. It's a RC car with ginormous wheels on it. Has a top speed of about 70 kilometers an hour.
Nice. Fast.
It is monstrous, and I got it because for my son's birthday, who's 7, we bought him an RC car, which it's fantastic. He takes it out. He has lots of fun. He destroys it all the time, and I've got to fix it. And I'd go out.
That's great.
Dad, fix this. It's like I can't fix that, son. But he takes it out, and I was sitting there watching him, and I'd spend an hour just standing there looking at him playing with his car, and I was getting so bored shitless. So a friend of mine said to me,
"Fly the drone, man."
Yeah, no, my drones aren't fun like yours. So basically, a friend of mine said to me, you interested in a car? And I said, yeah, and he gave me this monster truck, which needed to be rebuilt. I fixed it. Damn, I'm having so much fun. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've been flying my drones, baby. They're like multiplying for some reason. I don't know, man. I've just released this new YouTube video on why I need so many drones.
Yeah, I saw that video. That was a classic video.
Well,
I love the facial expressions as well on the front cover.
Yeah, I had to make it like, what do I do with this, But they've been multiplying, man. I've got like 8 of them now, and to be honest with you, I think I've just got a bit overboard, and then I think I need to start selling some of them.
This is what you said when you were at 6. You were at 6, and you said
I didn't say that. I never said that.
You said that at 6. You go, I've got too many of them. They're multiplying. I think I need to sell these. And like a couple of weeks on, I've got 8. They're multiplying.
I'm just bloody addicted, man. I don't know why.
Next time we come back and discuss
watch the video, man. You'll know exactly why, though, because one flies for this and one's flying for that, and the others are all different things, But yeah, I took it out today for a flight, and I smashed it, but straight into a tree. But because this thing is so strong, it just broke a propeller, changed the propeller, kept on flying, which is brilliant.
Yeah, see, every time I take my drone out, I get it stuck in a tree, and then I've got to drive home, get a ladder, get a saw, climb up the tree, cut a branch off.
That's what happened last time. Yeah, that's what happened to me last week, man.
It's just too much trouble. That's why the RC cars are so much more fun, because you basically keep them on the ground. They don't get in the tree.
Mate, we got to collaborate, and you drive those cars, and I'll fly my drone, and I'll catch you somehow.
I'll GoPro upwards, you'll GoPro downwards, and we'll do a video. Excellent.
Done.
All right, well, last week we had Marcel on the show, and he was basically talking to us about wedding photography, and we also touched a little bit on wedding videography, which Marty made very abundantly clear that he doesn't do anymore when he said, I don't do it anymore. We're going to continue with the second part, and yeah, it's a pretty kick-ass episode, I think. So stay tuned, and we hope you enjoy it. Yeah. So Marcel, one thing that I've actually noticed, I was down in Mornington Peninsula, and I was doing some beach shots, basically sunset shots, and I walked down a cliff, probably about 1.5, 2 kilometers of complete downhill, and then crawled over rock ledges and stuff to get to where I was doing my shoot. And as the sun started, went over the horizon and it was going down and everything was getting dark, I grabbed my stuff, I turned around, and just behind me there was a wedding party, and they were doing wedding photos on top of the rocks, water splashing all over them and stuff like that. First thing in my mind I thought was, what the hell are they doing there? Because they had massive stilettos on, and I don't know how this woman climbed over the rocks, because I was struggling, wearing hiking boots. But is that something that you normally do? Do you go out and do those types of photos out in in the wilderness or something different, or is that not something that you touch on?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can get your couple into a different location than normal or off-site from their venue, by all means, I'm always up for it. You'll find that a lot of the venue-based weddings, they have a fairly compressed timeline, so that sort of doesn't allow for that sometimes. I have done on a couple of occasions where I do a shoot session on a different day to the actual wedding itself. So in the case I did a wedding in France, and it was a big day on itself, and we did some amazing locations, but we actually did a separate shoot session at the port, which wasn't that close to the venue. So the port was quite important to them, so they wanted a shoot session there. So we did that on a separate day.
Oh, beautiful. It's just to me, it seemed a little bit like I can understand what you're saying. That makes sense. It's not physically demanding. Having a woman with a wedding dress climbing over rocks and boulders with stilettos, it seemed a bit far fetched. But see, I've never really understood that. I mean, visually it's a great photo, but reality. But I try and do realistic photos, and some people just take it to extremes. But everyone does something different, I guess. All right, so earlier on you mentioned developing networks. So could you tell us a little bit about the networks you've developed over time and why they're important?
Yeah, I'd probably attribute most of my career growth to networks. It's the old saying of it's not what you know, it's sort of who you know. And I feel like I'm not the most connected in terms of venues and other suppliers, but definitely with other photographers and videographers. And early on in my career, as I developed, having those connections to maybe second shoot for another photographer, or I ended up working for 2 years for a leading studio, which was purely through network. This was sort of before the days of, Facebook groups and stuff like that, and crew finding apps that you have these days. But yeah, as time goes along, definitely network is a great way of, getting yourself known, especially if you're new to the industry, is, get to know as many people as you can, both suppliers and photographers as well. I find myself these days having a lot of other studios approach me to work for them when they either double book a wedding, or, they need to, get me in for a wedding that's, as a second photographer.
I think building networks, a lot of people don't realize how important it is for a photographer, videographer, anyone in that sort of industry. And a lot of other videographers and photographers, they sort of turn around, they go, I'm not going to tell you how I do this, or I'm not going to show you what I do, because you're going to steal my clients and you're going to steal my customers. And, they get on their high horse and everything else. And look, I've been in the industry for, 10 years as well. And I found that building that network is been my success to my business. You know what I mean? A lot of people turn around and they say, hey, I can't do this, I'm going to get Marty to do it, or I can't do this, get Evan to do it, or myself to do it. And these people have contacts as well, and the more you spend time together, I mean, Evan and I got really good mates, become really good mates after doing all of these different things, and we've grown together. We talk about gear a lot. We talk about videography, we talk about photography, we talk about all different aspects of sliders, microphones, and all the different things, and we learn off each other. Creating that network that you're just talking about is the most important thing, I think, in that industry. And having more people to rely on and other people to contribute and just feed off, it's a big thing. And a lot of people say, I'm not going to do it because you're going to steal this client. There's so many clients out there that that are this. We can all have enough work if we do the right thing. You know what I mean? And I mean, like, I've dealt with other photographers and videographers, and I've been burnt as well. You know what I mean? But with me is, I'm happy to help you out and I do it for free as well. You know what I mean? There's a number of times where I've been asked by Evan or whoever else to say, hey, Marty, I really need your help with this. Can you help me out? Sure, man. No problem. If you need help, I'll be out there to help you. You know what I mean? And it's a big thing for, you know, and it comes back to you. To me, it's karma. You know what I mean? It will come back to you, and you will help each other out, and you get the job done. You know what I mean? And yeah, a lot of people shouldn't be thinking that way, you know what I mean? And the community of photography and videography in Melbourne is so strong, I think, as well. And it does really help each other out with all the Facebook groups and Instagrams and whatever else, you know. I think a lot of people help each other out, and they really do assist in every single possible way, you know what I mean? Evan.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one of the things that I actually do is I mentor people as well. So people who are starting off, I take them under my wing, basically educate them in what I know. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to photography and videography than what I know, but I give them my perspective. I occasionally take them out to gigs, give them, you know, first-hand experience, because there's nothing more traumatizing than being dropped into the deep end. So I bring people out with me and say, you know, this is what we're doing. What do you think would be a good shot? What do you think would work here? Go try it, see how it goes, and give them an opportunity to sort of, you know, try out their own skills and learn from it. And, you know, if they've got any great photos and they want to donate them to the actual bride and groom, that's their choice. They don't have to. But afterwards, we sit down and we actually look at the products and we say, yeah, how could that have been better? You know, what could you improve? What equipment would have been better suited to this situation? So, you know, I develop networks with people who are developing, and in time they become better than I am, and they carry me under their wing as well. You know, like I trained you, Marty. I mean, you know,
No, mate. We both trained each other.
Yeah, in many different ways. But no, but I think networking is really, really important. But there is a lot of people out there who are very, very, they don't want to share information. They're fearful that if they give you anything, that you're going to become better than them. Which is, you know, and I guess to some degree there are people out there who will take that information and try and screw you over in the process. But the vast majority of people, if you help them out, they'll help you back. And that's my theory anyway. But that's how I work. So it's interesting.
Yeah, agree.
What do you think? Yeah, no, good. At least we all agree on one thing.
We all agree on one thing, except for contract law. But anyway, all right. So one thing that I actually don't personally do this, but I've gone to a lot of conferences, I've gone to a lot of meetings, and people have said it's one of the most important things you can do. It's where the money's at. If you're chasing money, this is something that you should do. Printing of photos, books, like big pictures and stuff like that. A lot of the professionals basically make most of their money off these types of things. What's your take on that, Marcel? Do you think it's super important to provide that? Is it something that you do?
Yeah, 100%. I come from the old school, so you know, a photo doesn't exist until it's printed. I feel so. Every couple should get an album. Not everyone does, because they do feel that the digital file is enough to them and they feel like they own it. So yeah, prints are very important, and I do offer a full range of printing services, right from, you know, prints worth a few dollars up to, you know, $3,000 albums. So I have something for everyone.
Wow, $3,000 albums. That is amazing.
Yep.
And look, in saying that, it is true that, you know, it's nice to have the photos, a digital version of them, but you never really can appreciate a photo until it's printed. A lot of my landscape photos and stuff, I print them, you know, booklets, big portraits, you know, massive images on the wall, and they just look amazing, you know. And until you do that, it's just a picture. Has no real meaning. When you print it out, it just, wow, it's mind-blowing. So highly recommended. You know, it's hard sometimes for trying to convince the client that they need those things, because I mean, they're like, oh, I can get it cheaper done at Harvey Norman. Sorry, was I allowed to say that? I just use a commercial name. Shame on me. But, you know, there's a lot of printing places out there that people will just take this stuff to, and they don't really care about the quality, which is a shame, because especially when you put the effort in that you do, and, you know, it's such a beautiful picture, and then they get printed out on some really crappy paper, and the colour's not right, or it fades, or, you know, it's a shame. So it is important, you know, but it's not something that I actually do offer, and I've really got to follow it up. But then again, I don't do enough weddings to justify it. I don't think so. Yeah.
It's an education process, that sort of thing, because people don't recognize, okay, I can get something printed at Kmart, for example, or the high street store, I should say, for $50, $60, and that will, do the trick of displaying my photos. But when you present to them an album that starts at $2,000 before you option it up, they might not see how that's valuable to them. But you'll find that some couples, if you sort of show that you do that kind of thing early on in the process, that sort of plants the seed. And then you explain what goes into these albums in terms of the quality, who prints them, the process, and then you can, in a lot of cases, you can customize it to your own color. You can have your own name embossed onto it with colored foils, and get matching boxes. Once you show you can do all these beautiful custom touches, a lot of people are willing to invest, and some people just purely don't know that they exist. So it's a matter of education from the start.
Yeah, I've actually noticed a couple of your embossed boxes and logo products on your website, which were very impressive. I mean, it's not something that I do, but they are still quite impressive. And I think it's got that personal touch to it that the couple gets, and they're like, oh, wow, it's beautiful. And I think that's really nice. Marty, what do you do with videos? Do you just hand them a USB stick, or how do you customize a wedding video? That's something
Can I just remind you that I don't do wedding videos?
Oh, come on, Marty.
Nah, look, it's a hard one because other people have expectations, and look, I'm not as professional as Marcel in the wedding component. I do provide. I mean, obviously, resolution is the big thing for me, and I mean, a lot of people these days have 4K TVs. So if I provide a 4K file, the quality, the crispiness, the whole look of it, it's, it just looks amazing, you know what I mean? I do, I don't know, look, to be honest with you, wedding is not my forte. That's why we got Marcel here, because he's the professional on this sort of stuff. But look, I think the quality of the video overall is good, and a lot of people just use it, medium like, YouTube and Vimeo and whatever else to show it to family, friends, overseas people as well. Marcel, do you obviously do videography as well, right? With your crew and everything else. What do you do for that? I mean, how can you,
Yeah, so when it comes to hiring a videographer under my own brand, how I deliver the files initially is through their gallery link, which I can host them on YouTube. So I can put a private link on YouTube, link that into the gallery. So that way they've got a central hub of all their photos and video. So that way they can share it to their guests and friends and family quite easily. I'm yet to find a good... I guess hosting service that has a nice skin on top of it for delivering videos. I prefer the customer experience from start to finish to be sort of on brand, and there isn't really a lot of that sort of product out there at the moment for video delivery. But at this stage, I'm just sending a custom USB with my name embossed onto it in a gift box, so that way they've got something tangible, so that way they can save the HD files to their own computer.
That's brilliant. There's a business idea for you then. So set up a website that can host that in a sexy kind of way.
Yeah. If I knew anything about that sort of thing, I'd give it a go.
Yeah, it's not cheap as well. I mean, to build a website these days, you're looking at, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. You know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah. Then you've got, to host big files is a whole nother story.
Yeah, true.
No one wants websites anymore. It's all about the apps. So you got to get a video app on your phone that you can show everyone your wedding video on your phone. That's what everyone wants. I mean, sure, you can't really appreciate the 4K or the 6K video quality, but it's on your phone. That's all that matters. That's the generation nowadays. But there you go.
Look, with video component, Marcel, do you provide can you give me more information on what are you providing and what you what services are? So would you sort of create like a really short snippet of the day and then have a long one, or would you walk me through that if you can?
Yeah, so I like to keep it relatively simple because most of the people that are inquiring with me as a photographer, the video is somewhat secondary in terms of priority, but seeming that I do offer it, and I think the wedding videos are growing in popularity, I feel. So having that added on to the package, I just try to keep it simple. So it'll be a highlight film. And then I will also provide a long edit of the ceremony and also the speeches as well. Because the ceremony is quite important to the couple, especially the words that they say throughout it. And also the speeches is where all the laughs are at. So they just want that so they can look back at it. Because on the day itself, the speeches will fly by for them. And, if there's distracting elements like, people serving your table, whatever in the way, or, can't hear it that well, having it presented nicely in a video format, they can watch it back is a great experience for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed lately, last couple of years, almost like the shorter is better as well. You know what I mean? When I got married, and that was a long time ago, our wedding video was still on VHS tapes. That's one thing, but like it was for 3 hours, and to be honest with you, I've probably watched it once in the last 15, 16 years, whatever, how long I've been married for, and every time my wife is like, "Oh, let's watch our video on the anniversary," or whatever. No, mate, that's 3 hours of my life. I can't just get back anymore, you know what I mean? But yeah, look, these days I think having it short, sweet, straight to the point, with the Gen Y and Gen X and all that sort of stuff, you want to go straight to the point, straight to, the fluffy, cuddly kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And that's great that you offer that sort of service, that sort of cut down version. And then the longer version for the parents and whatever else that they can listen and hear the words and the speeches and everything else as well. So brilliant, and I think it's, it's an ever evolving component of a wedding industry as well. Because I think, with COVID and like what we say, people are having a shorter ceremonies and they're getting into it, get it done, and just overall 1 or 2 minute video reel, you know what I mean? And it's forever changing, and it's great to see it as well. So,
yeah, it's getting everything into that, that 3 or 4 minutes, getting the whole entire show into it. And it's actually funny that you mentioned the VHS cassettes, because I remember a story a while ago where someone had their wedding recorded on a VHS cassette, and they finally convinced their partner to watch it with them. This was years down the track. They put the video into the actual player and they press play, and instead of the wedding video being there, they've dubbed over the top some World Federation Wrestling or something. So the whole wedding had just been erased, and someone was doing, jumping off the top ropes and stuff. So it was actually quite hilarious, but it would have been quite traumatizing for the couple. But yeah.
It would have been probably one of the kids basically sticky taped that little whole thing, and then they just basically pop it into it and then record over it. So yeah. For the young crew that are listening to us, you've got no idea what we're talking about, but that's fine.
Sticky tape? VHS?
Yeah, what the hell is that?
They're on Google now, VHS. Yeah, so is there any way of actually protecting a file on a USB stick so it doesn't get erased? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think digitally you can actually edit it so that it can't be erased, but I think there's ways of erasing it. So one of the things I do tell clients when I provide them a copy of my videos is, basically, okay, here you go, here's your copy. What you need to do with this is basically make a backup copy on a hard drive and not a USB stick, because USB sticks fail over time. So put them onto a hard drive and possibly onto a secondary source. So make 2 or 3 copies of it if it's important to you. And ironically, I get couples ringing me up about 8-9 months later. Do you still have my video? We accidentally erased it, or we've lost the USB thumb drive. And one of the things that I actually do, I try not to keep too many videos, especially extremely long ones. Like I think I did one which was like 4.5 hours, and that was shot in 4K. So you can imagine the file size was huge. So I try not to keep too many of those. But if there's 1 or 2 videos where I think I can use parts of it, I actually strike up a deal with the client and say, look, I'll hold on to it for a year for you as a backup if you allow me to use snippets of it as promotional material. So I do a trade-off. So, I'll keep it as a keepsake for you for 1 year, as long as I can use it. And they're like, yeah, cool. I actually have had people in past who have said no to me. No, we don't want you to keep a copy of it. And they've rang me up 4 or 5 months down the track, do you still have a copy? Because we've lost it. And my response was, no, you asked me to erase it. You told me you didn't want me to keep a copy of it, so no, I don't have it. And then they've gone ape shit at me, pardon my expression, I shouldn't swear, because I didn't keep a file of it, And it's like, but you're the one who told me not to keep it, so, and unfortunately that happens a lot as well.
How long do you keep your footage for, Marcel?
Well, I don't do the actual editing of the videos itself, so I only keep the finalized files, which are not massive. I haven't done enough to sort of be a massive load on my hard drives, but it's a very good topic to touch on, especially when it comes to the volume of photos that I've taken over the years, and I still have raw files from even my first few weddings. Nice. You do question yourself all the time. So why do I even have these? And I even know that a lot of these couples are not together anymore. So I question myself again, why do I actually hang on to them? But the biggest thing biggest challenge that I have with archiving raw files over time is when you save them to a certain hard drive and then you put it aside for archival sake, as computer connections evolve, look at the current MacBook stuff, which is all Thunderbolt 3 connections now, all the legacy connections of FireWire and, USB 2 and all that kind of stuff are getting to a point where you won't be able to plug them into anything. So, so that's where it comes back to albums. That's the best archival source you could ever have. I have a wedding photo that's existed in my family since I think the early 30s. So, that's long outlasted any digital medium.
No, definitely.
Definitely. I've actually got a truckload of USB drives, of drives which actually still use FireWire. I've got 4 of them sitting there, and I can't access them because none of my machines are FireWire. And I'm too lazy to go down to the shop and actually get a card put into my machine, and they're actually getting virtually impossible to get your hands onto as well. That's definitely, technology does change quite fast as well.
Marcel, what gear do you use? Can we ask? Can we ask for your weapon of choice?
Yes, so I'm a bit of a gearhead like you, Marty. So
how did you know that?
I do listen to your shows. So, but yeah, I love the I'm into gear. I've always been into electronics and technology, and my actual previous day job was actually selling technology as well. So I've always been into it. And as far as gear is concerned, I run a Sony A7 III x2.
Yeah, baby. Sony. Here we go.
Yeah.
Go on. Continue please.
And quite an extensive array of prime lenses. I did go through a zoom phase when I was running Canon back in the day, but I've moved to exclusively primes now. I just love that, you can shoot at f1.4 and still be razor sharp, on the new mirrorless systems. So I've got everything covered from 12mm wide up to 135. That's the longest I've ever needed. Macro, I just invested in the 50mm f1.2 GM.
Nice. Beautiful.
And also 35mm 1.2 from Sigma. So, gear's quite important to me. There's that old adage that gear doesn't make the photographer, but it makes, I think, someone that knows what they're doing, their job a little bit easier and more elevated compared to maybe someone that's running a less spec kind of gear.
Someone that running Canon, you mean?
Yeah, I won't hold it against them.
You need to get a room. You need to get a room. So you use multiple flashes. You also mentioned as well.
Yes, I pride myself on being able to run multiple flashes on the fly. I find the reception photos that I deliver, I try to, again, elevate them a little bit more compared to what maybe the competition offers, where they might just run a single on-camera speed light, where I would use, multiple ones dotted throughout the room, sometimes as many as 5, or 4. Wow. I'd have it on camera, and then I use them as, masters. Sometimes I don't have them going, but more as a master to control other flashes dotted around the room. And when you've got a highly energetic dance floor and you sort of cross light from the back, you can get some really interesting sort of lighting. And it's lots of fun to achieve, really cool sort of effects with it as well. And well lit reception photos, because sometimes the venues are so dark that, just a singular on camera flash is not going to cut it.
Yeah, and I completely agree. But I was going to say, if you're working with a videographer, they would absolutely hate you because the flash goes off and it actually gives you a white half screen, especially when you've got a global shutter. Rolling shutter, there you go. Yeah, so you'd have like half a screen that's white and the other half is actually a picture, and there's nothing worse on a video than that. So I've worked with a couple of photographers and I'm filming and it's like, and like 4 million flashes going off and you're just like, seriously? Come on, please, So fantastic.
So would you use a Sony flashes as well, or like a Godox?
No, I used the Godox system. Mm-hmm. When I first started with Sony, their flash systems were not that great and
I agree.
Not that readily available. So got into the Godox system, and the beauty about all those products is that they always talk to each other really, really well. Pretty happy with them. Back to what you were saying before, Evan, I am that guy. So I can, flash, 6 frames a second at, 1/28th power, no problems. But it's also a blessing when there's a videographer there that knows how to light too, by having, cross lighting behind the dance floor, where I can use the highlights to meter off and get some interesting effects that way as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there are times where the videographer and photographer do work well together. There's other times where you just want to strangle each other. Just taking a step back regarding the actual prime lenses that you were discussing before. When I do photography for weddings, I carry two bodies. So one's got the 70-200 zoom on it, and the other one's got a prime. You're using 2 cameras, or you're using just the one?
Yep, always 2 cameras. I have a leather strap system that was custom made. The off-the-shelf ones are a little bit short for me. I find that the cameras end up in the armpit sort of thing. So because I've got long arms, I need them to hang down past my waist. So I have one, usually a 35mm on one, and then maybe an 85 on the other. That's the most common combo that I would probably run. Or at the ceremony, I'd have a 135 on.
No, the Sony component, that's sort of done for me, so I'm cool with that, mate.
Screw you, hippie.
Look, I still got my Canon stuff, and actually I should probably put it on the market sooner or later, because it's just, I haven't actually used it for probably about a year. And I have multiple Sony cameras, as you probably know, Marcel, and I thoroughly enjoy them. You know what I mean? And the latest edition was my Sony A7S III. And that's beasts of a camera, you know what I mean? And it's just impressive overall for what they have achieved in such a small body.
Yeah, there will be some people that might say that Sony might not have the robustness as compared to, say, what a Canon might be. And I've used all different kinds of systems, including Nikon as well. And I find, after in the field use, the Sony does hold up in terms of robustness. They do look kind of dinky in comparison because they're a lot smaller form factor, they're lightweight, shells. But I have dropped from height bodies with expensive primes on them, and they have survived without issue. And I've also dropped and broken various Canon components over the years as well. So, and that's just a good ad for having insurance on your gear as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. And I think also what you mentioned as well, when you're turning up to a wedding, bringing that smaller factor camera, a lot of people don't think of it as a professional enough. You know what I mean? yet. Like when you come in with like when I used to turn up with my 5D Mark III with a hand grip and 70 to 200, you kind of, this thing weighs about 2.5 kilos if not more. But yeah, people look at that and they go, "Oh my, this guy's professional." You know what I mean? And it just makes you wonder, and it makes you laugh how people are sort of uneducated from the technology and the camera point of view as well, from that perspective. But Evan obviously looks very professional with the Canon stuff, so definitely.
Yeah, I had 1D systems back in the day, so. Yeah, when you turn up to a job with $7,000 or $8,000 camera bodies just for that part alone, it makes you look pretty serious. But I find with some of the primes on Sony now that they're so big in terms of their glass elements and their barrels are quite huge. They still are quite hefty in the hand.
Are they as bad? Sorry, and this is my ignorance coming through here because I'm not a Sony fanboy. The Sigma lenses are actually extremely heavy. Are the Sony lenses as bad as Sigmas, or?
Nowadays, a lot of the GM series are actually coming under the weight of the Sigmas, so and slightly smaller form factors as well. So, unfortunately, there was a time where Sigma was the only one available in that aperture, that focal length, so I had to get it. But Sony's been releasing a lot of lenses lately, so they've got pretty much most focal lengths covered in a fast aperture. So I'd love to upgrade some of them over time, but it's just a matter of having funds available for that, because when you're spending nearly $3,000 on a prime, it's not an easy purchase to make.
No, that's right.
Yeah, definitely.
I was going to say, I've got a few Sigma lenses as well, and I swear by them. You know what I mean? I seriously think I've got just to sort of name one or two, but I've got the 24-70, I've got 21.4, I've got 24 1.4, so they are very good lenses. They're like, I'm not obviously being swing by anyone, but I seriously think that Sigma is producing some amazing glass, and for someone that's looking at it from comparing G Master comparing to Sigma lenses, the price wise, I think the Sigma is a lot more affordable, and quality I believe is on par with the GM, G Master lenses with Sony, but that's my personal thing, and I thoroughly enjoy those Sigma lenses as well. So,
And I find one of the greatest lessons I've learnt over the years when it comes to buying gear, and for the people newer to the industry, this might be very important to them, is to invest in the best quality gear that you can up front. Yeah. I made the mistake of getting what I could afford at the time, and it was very basic, and then I found myself upgrading constantly, and you actually spend more money in the long run than buying the best stuff to start with. So if you're a newbie in the industry, save the pain and just save for the best you can get and start with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you want to get into it professionally and you have that dream, and I've got the gas syndrome, so the gear acquisition syndrome, where I just love all that gear and everything else as well. But saying that though, it's, if you're taking this seriously, I think people that are getting into it, they need to really think about how far they're going to take it, and then the money that they're going to spend on it. So
and these lenses aren't exactly cheap. I mean, I know people who people I'm training up as well, who want to get into things, and they're like, "Oh, what do you think of this lens?" And I don't have the heart to tell them it's a piece of crap, but you want to sort of save them the problem where they're going to buy it 3 months down the track, they're going to realize it's crap, they're going to have to sell it off and buy something else, and so they've spent additional money. And you're right, Marcel, it is one of those things, but at the same time, I don't want to tell people to hold off and buy the more expensive thing, though technically I know that is the right thing to do, because some of these people might not get into that field. They might think that they're going to become amazing photographers in a particular field. They go and buy the gear, and then 3 months down the track they realize they're actually not good enough, or that it's not their forte, and they've got all this gear that they're not going to use. So it's one of those fine line things. But I personally agree with you. If I've got my head stuck in something and I want to do something, I will go buy the best gear, because there's no point in buying crap then selling it and then And I learned the hard way as well. I mean, I think we've all done that. Initially when I started off, I did the mistake of buying crappy things, thinking I didn't need anything more, and then found the limitations of it within a few weeks. So, most definitely. What is the one piece of equipment that you think is a must-have for wedding photography? Is there anything in particular that jumps out at you? Obviously, other than the body, being a Canon, obviously, is the best camera body that you can get.
Whoa,
no comment.
That's a really good question. For the sake of or the exercise of taking photos, probably the most important thing that I think you cannot live without, especially as a wedding photographer, is a 50mm prime. Because that is just, back to the old school, that was the viewpoint that gives you the most flattering appearance for portraits. And, it's that kind of focal length where you can sort of zoom with your feet and you can take in a full body portrait, full waist, you can get in tight, do shoulders up, all that kind of thing. So it's a very versatile focal length, I feel.
Totally agree.
And Marty, you initially when I was getting into it, you were pushing me towards a 50 and an 85. I've never got on an 85. I do have a 50 though. It's very, very useful. But yeah. All right. So if there was one piece of equipment that you could get right now, in addition to what you've currently got, what would it be? Do you have a particular thing that you're sort of hanging out to get, something new that's on the market, or have you already got everything?
I feel like my kit at its point now is excellent, and I don't think I really need anything more out of it. I do lust over replacing some lenses with a full suite of Sony GM lenses. For example, I've got a 25mm f2 Zeiss lens, which is a great lens on its own, but I'd really love the, tick the box with all the Sony gear, and then the Sigma 1.2 as well, the 35. I'd love to replace that with the Sony, and then the 85, entry level 1.8. I'd love to upgrade that to the GM. They're all sort of wants, not really necessities.
But is that because they're better lenses, the ones that you want to get, or is it because it's Sony? It's a Sony.
No, it comes down to handling, I feel. With weddings, they're very fast-paced and also low light in a lot of cases. So you need the absolute best available to, one, focus in low light conditions and be snappy with focus as well. Because I can jump between subjects quite frequently at a wedding. So if your gear can't keep up with your vision, it's not quite good enough.
Marcel, thank you very much. There is one last question that I have for you, and that relates to advice that you would give to people who are starting off in the industry. What advice would you give them?
Okay, this is probably more of a global answer for the photography industry as a whole, not so much weddings specifically. One big piece of advice I feel that could be valuable is when you want to take photos for a living and want to do well with it, probably start with a subject that you really, really love, and then shoot it over and over again to a point you become exceptionally good at it. And then you'll find that people will come to you to pay for your services rather than you trying to, chase those clients all the time. So if you say on your website, I specialize in pet portraits, commercial people portraits, weddings, bar mitzvahs, and all those kinds of things, you're not a specialist in that field. So, I feel that, and this is why I have a few different pathways myself, because I didn't decide on that early on. If you're new to the game, if you love shooting, saying surfing, for example, just shoot that until you become the best at it, and you'll get to a point where you'll build a following and people will want to hire you, So, and when it comes to weddings, I feel, that coming back to networks as well, get to know some photographers that are established in the field, get in contact with them, offer to carry their bags for them at a wedding. I find that carrying a bag at a wedding is like a free in-person workshop. So you could, go to a wedding and you see the behind the scenes, you see what, the photographer has to go through to achieve those shots. And it's right there in front of you.
All right, Marcel, thank you very much for coming on board. If people want to get in contact with you, if they want to see your work, or if they want to chat to you, or anything at all, how can they get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Probably the best place is Instagram, because it's got a nice simple user handle, which is just at Marcel the Photographer. The link in the bio is the website, and also you can message me through there if you'd like me to add you to the wedding photographers and videographers group that I run. I can send you the link through that as well.
And your web address?
Yeah, my web address is marcelvanderhorstphotographer.com. It is a long one. You can link it through the Instagram, and the Instagram is a great way of sort of seeing, basically my career in one sort of snapshot. So, yeah, drop by and say hello.
Thank you very much, Marcel, for joining us. That was insightful. A lot of knowledge sharing. Granted, the bit about the Sony cameras probably not so much, but
now, be nice.
Sorry, buddy. Every week I've got to do that. This is an ongoing feud for anyone else who hasn't figured it out yet. But yeah, once again, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you on board. We know that you're extremely busy, so thank you very much.
Yeah, really appreciate coming on the show, and I think you're doing an amazing job. I'm just looking through your Instagram at the moment, and some of the images just really stand out. And if I was getting married again, I think I'll pick you now. But anyway, thanks heaps, and have a lovely night. And yeah, by all means, hopefully we can catch up for a beer once the lockdown is over. And I'm happy to shout as well. No problems at all.
Woohoo!
100%. I'm looking forward to it.
So
Done. Thank you.
Are Canon people invited to this or no?
Yeah, right.
Fabulous. Well, that brings us to the end of another Seeking Focus episode. Thank you very much to our guest and to my fellow co-host, Marty. It's been a great show, a very long show, probably the longest one we've ever done to date.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has. So stay safe, people out there. Thank you very much for tuning in, and it's good night from me.
Yep, be COVID safe, I guess, and hopefully we'll open up soon so we can go to a wedding and see our friends and relatives and everybody else as well. But from Marty and Evan, have a good night. Thank you. Day, night, whenever you listen.